Hello everybody, welcome back to the Pro Run. There's still plenty to go through in the end of this chapter, so let's buckle up. Last time we found Carrington, heard an interesting conversation between Dr. Smith and Yvette, something about a blood stain, which seemed appropriately suspicious. Ms. Bundefund and Skippy did a pretty good job in the last part of this chapter finding everything. There were a couple odds and ends they missed, though. So let's see if we can't find what all those are. First is a weird little conversation.
Something I can do for you, Miss Bow?
Mr. Leach, can you let me out of this museum? I don't like it in here.
What a logical thing to say.
People keep dying.
Sorry, Miss Bow. I seem to have lost my door keys.
Oh, I find that very disturbing.
You and me both.
Me too. I can't even let myself out of the building. We're all staying here until I find those keys.
Oh, Ernie, you butterfingers. Of course, Ernie might have some other reasons for staying around here. We know that he is in debt to some kind of prime person, probably.
You pick it up and place it in your purse.
Skippy and Bundefund were able to find this. Daisy there is supposed to be a
It's
clue.
Olympia's ferret, Daisy.
She likes weird-smelling things, so that would clue you in that the steamer trunk there is probably
A
interesting
slab
in
of
some way or
meat
another.
which smells ripe. Veins of rancid fat forming abscesses that ooze copious amounts of pus run through the decomposed cut of beef. Yum, just like Mom used to make.
Besides being squicky, I'm not really
You
sure
pick
why
it
they have
up
to make
and
it
place it in your purse.
why they have to make it gross like that. Maybe the beetles only eat things if they are
The trunk has a name
decomposed?
tag identifying it as part of Carrington's personal luggage. Beside it is another sticker emblazoned with the logo Andrea Doria.
The Andrea Doria was a real steamer ship. It famously sunk between the United States and Britain, so it's sort of a tragic
Something I
ending
can
there.
do for you, Miss Bow?
Not sure why the steamer trunk would be in Olympia's room. That's sort of interesting. Anyway, it can be hard to get Ernie to leave, so I had to leave and come back a few times before he vanished. There's plenty of things to do in his room while he's gone. The snake lasso, which you can probably guess why that'll be important.
You pick it up and place it in your purse.
Bundefund and Skippy were also able to find the tin snips over here. Which
You
was
pick
good
it
for
up
them.
and place it in your purse.
They neglected, however, to push this panel.
When you push the button, you hear a sliding noise off in the distance, clearly originating outside of this room.
As far as they know, I think, there is only one secret passage, and that is the one in Dr. Miklos' room. However, we know of at least two more now. There is the one in Wolf's room, which leads to Carrington's office, and there is this one. All of them have that lantern trick, where you need to light the Rumkoff coil lantern before you go in them. However, if we enter into this one, there's bats plague you in all of them. We find that it heads upwards somewhere. So keep in mind, for the bodies being moved to different places, there are a ton of secret passages in this museum. I find that secret passage to be very funny because we had a long discussion about how there was no way that there was a secret passage because clearly because of that window, this room leads to the outside of the museum. But I don't know, and frankly, I'm not asking questions about it. There's Ziggy. Poor guy, I guess.
You pick it up and place it in your purse.
I do not know how you would know to do that. It presumably will be important. I know that it has a use, getting that length of wire. I don't know if you absolutely need it, but I guess we'll find out when Skippy and Bundefund do the final chapter, if they think to do that. If you do need it, then not getting the tin snips can make it so that you can't complete the game. Now, this is an interesting part. Because this skeleton key here, I thought...
With careful use of the wire cutters, you managed to remove the skeleton key without damaging the Bosch painting.
I thought that you had to have the tin snips to remove it, but Skippy and Bundefund were able to do so with just the Dagger of Amon-Ra. Anyway, armed with that skeleton key and the rancid cut of meat, we can now sort of complete our circuit and head back down. As I said before, it's sort of interesting that Olympia would have... I think that's her room down there. She certainly claims it sometimes, and it's got gross preservation things
This
like she
trunk
likes.
is locked.
I don't like this little trap puzzle here, and I'll tell you why. Because you have a very short time in which you can throw that cut of meat in there, and if you don't manage to make it, the beetles just eat you. However, there's no reason you can't see them in there. You can't look in and have it say, oh, quick, throw in some
A
beetles.
skeleton lies in the trunk,
so you
its
have to be-
bones picked clean by the domestic beetles. They've efficiently removed every last shred of flesh, making the skeleton nearly impossible to identify.
You have to be psychic, basically, to know that one. You have to die, essentially. Fortunately,
It appears to be a gold pocket watch.
we are able to find Carrington's pocket watch.
A close look reveals an inscription on the watch. To Dr. Archibald Carrington III for your years of dedicated service, many thanks from your staff at the British Museum.
I do not show
Pick
this
it up
off
and place it in your purse.
in the pro run, but we've seen from Skippy and Bundafun's run that showing the pocket watch to the Countess will make her kind of freak out and respond very strongly, and actually maybe drop her accent for a second and sort of get this more Cockney street kind of British accent. Nonetheless, I see that it is quarter till, and that means it's time for two things. First off, to overhear a very interesting
You
conversation.
hear muffled voices coming through the door to Yvette's office.
You lied to me.
Well, lass, I guess that makes us even. You lied to me.
You had something to do with the Dagger burglary.
You've been sleeping with someone else. I saw you go off with that dock worker.
I've never slept with Steve, and the Ziggy fellow, he told me about you and the Dagger.
And you believe that little weasel. I've arrested the man more times than I can count.
The Ziggy, I know him a long time. He would not lie to me.
That man'd lie to his own mother if someone paid him for it.
Ziggy, he says you were working with the Carrington to steal the Dagger.
Lies! You can't be trusting the man. If he wasn't already dead, I'd pound the truth out of him.
Maybe you already did.
Were you sleeping with the little rat then?
Of course not.
You really surprise me, lass. I'd think you grew up on the streets accusing me of burglary like that.
Where I grew up doesn't matter, does it? The important thing is... Wait, did you hear something at the door?
Yeah, I was hearing it too. Keep your voice down then.
Well, sort of a damaging conversation for our plucky policeman there. We find out, and I guess for Yvette and Steve as well, we find out that Carrington is involved in some way with O'Reilly, if Ziggy is to be trusted, and he could be, I guess. I mean, he's not really to be trusted, but he did get murdered.
Feels like nice material.
Shut up. Get behind that curtain. And that Yvette doesn't apparently know about it, so that's interesting. There's been a theory about two factions, sort of an Egyptian mystic one and a criminal one. I think that's very interesting.
Wolfie, your facial scars are so wonderful. How did you get them?
Fencing, my Strudel. As a young man, I would dance with my Heidelberg friends. We would stop our opponent's saber just before it went through our faces, which would make the scars you see now.
Ah, that is very interesting. You did not use masks to protect your faces?
Nein, that would have been considered unmanly.
You'll have to show me how to do that sometime.
There are many things I can show you, my Strudel.
Perhaps we should go somewhere less public, Wolfie.
Oh yeah, good idea. Particularly since there's an annoying reporter wandering around the museum. That is not something I would have allowed if I was running things here.
Give it time, Wolfie. Perhaps you will be running things here someday, if I have anything to say about it.
Oh? What can you do?
There are ways, but come, let us speak of these things in more privacy.
So, as was mentioned, there's kind of this theory floating around in the thread that I think is very interesting, about there being sort of two factions that we could look at, sort of a criminal faction, and maybe more of an Egyptian mystic one, or at least a mystic one. I think we can see, if we want to pursue this, it looks like on the criminal one would be Ziggy, possibly, Carrington. Hard to say about Carter, maybe not Carter, but Ziggy, Carrington, there's Ernie, O'Reilly, and maybe somebody else, possibly Ernie.
Ernie's neck is stretched backwards, tilting his head back at an extreme angle. Ernie's pants appear to be clinging somewhat to his legs.
And on the Mystic,
Ernie's shoes are intact, yet strangely dark and damp-looking.
have the Egyptians and Olympia. Now, the only thing to be gained from examining Ernie's body is to find out that he smells like alcohol, and that's sort of this big, obvious telegraphed clue, which may or may not be accurate, that you get from O'Reilly in
You
the
are
next room.
smelling like the brewery, mein Capitan. Either you've been drinking, or you've been eating too many of those grapes.
Grapes don't really make you smell like
Sure and begorra.
alcohol.
A man needs a little nip from his flask now and then,
I don't
doesn't
think
he?
that's accurate.
Personally, I do not require the drinking of the alcohol. It would impair my mental and physical skills.
What a shame that would be.
Ernie Leach has been murdered!
What was that, lass?
Ernie is dead!
So, you finally come to us to confess. Is that it?
Confess? No! I'm reporting a murder!
And you was the first one to find the body again?
No,
Well,
definitely
I
not.
guess so.
Quite a coincidence, Fräulein. I think we should be interrogating you to learn the truth.
Ugh.
I've had enough of your lies!
Oh, well, never
Calm
change.
down, Heimlich. If there's any interrogating to be done, I'll be the one who does it. Now then, lass, where did you find the body?
You can
The
see him
mastodon room.
from here. You can
He's
see
hanging
him.
from some mastodon tusks.
He's right over there.
Back! He's probably just sleeping on the job.
No, I'm sure he's dead.
Well, I'll go take a look at him then. If I need to talk to you, I'll find you later.
This is such terrible police procedure. Anyway, though, that is everything to be done in this act. It's really going to start to heat up here soon. So, well, there's Olympia following us. So, thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys next time for Act 4.